Hello everybody, Jared Jones here at Sutter's Fort State Historic Park. I'm going to talk to you about how to make fire today using flint and steel. Fire was very important on the northern frontier and here at Sutter's Fort. Every worker that was here at the fort knew how to make fire. And fire was used for a variety of the shops. The blacksmith needed a fire in his forge that had a fire of 3,000 degrees. The cooks needed a fire for cooking using cast iron. And right here at the bake oven, we need a fire to preheat this oven that takes 4 hours to preheat before the fire is removed and then the bread is baked right in on the bricks. It's important to know that fire is a tool, not a toy. Now let's talk about how to make a fire. You need 3 things to make a fire. You need fuel, air, and heat. And the best way to visualize this is to make a triangle. Fuel, air, and heat. Those 3 things are crucial for making a fire. If you take away one of those, your fire is going to go out. So when you think about stop, drop, and roll, if you're on fire, you're taking away the oxygen when you're rolling around. If you throw a bucket of water on a fire and it goes out, you've taken away the heat. If you have a little fire that is starting to die down because there's no more wood fueling it, you've taken away the fuel, your fire is out. So that's why it's crucial to have all 3 of those when you are making a fire here. How we are going to make fire is with flint and steel. So let's talk about my fire making materials first. What we need to make a fire, because remember, we don't have anything like a lighter or matches or anything like that here at Sutter's Fort. We have a high carbon steel striker made in the blacksmith shop. We have a piece of flint, which is a naturally occurring rock high in quartz content that when the striker hits this flint, it makes a spark that I will show you in just a moment. We have some charred cloth or charred string, which is material that had been made in a previous fire in a tin container, loaded up full of cotton cloth or string and cooked with only a little hole in the top to vent. And you're essentially burning the material down to a charred-like material. Think of like the turning firewood into charcoal. That is what's going to catch the spark when I hit the striker with flint and steel. And then we need some kind of tinder. I have some jute rope here, which is very fluffy rope that when pulled apart, it becomes nice and fluffy, that I could put that char cloth in and easily transport that fire over into the oven. So now let's make the fire. So hitting the flint with my steel striker makes the sparks. But remember, I need to have that char cloth or charred string to catch one of those embers. And those little sparks, that is tiny pieces of metal being shaved off here. And just like that, I had caught one of those sparks. I'm going to take that, put it in my fluffed up jute rope. And remember, we need 3 things to make a fire. We got the heat, we got the fuel. Now we need oxygen. I'm going to put that on my shavings here. that I got from the Cooper shop that is going to start to catch, and now I could start adding larger material onto my fire. I'm adding some small pieces of kindling onto my fire, and gradually, as this fire gets a little larger, I will be adding larger pieces of wood. As I need a pretty decent fire to heat this oven. And it takes 4 hours to heat this oven in order to get this oven hot enough to be baking bread. While not very common on the frontier of California, there were early forms of a lighter, which still uses flint and steel technology. Looks very similar to a small little flintlock pistol. Here in the pan, I would still load my char cloth. So here I have my lighter, invented in the late 18th century. I'm going to load in the pan here. I'm going to close the frizzen, and when I pull the trigger here, the flint is still going to hit that steel high carbon frizzen and make a spark, igniting my char cloth right here in the pan. And as the same process before, with using just the flint and steel, I would take my charred cloth that has a small little ember, put it in some fluffed up jute rope to then actually catch the fire and throw it on in the oven as I did before. Flint and steel technology is evident on our muskets here as well at the fort. So here's my piece of flint, and here is essentially my steel striker, the steel frizzen. So after I've loaded the gun with black powder and a musket ball, I would put some small powder in the pan, pull back the trigger, pull the trigger, making a spark, igniting that gunpowder in the pan, leading through the vent hole, shooting off the musket ball. I want to thank you all for watching this video today here at Sutter's Fort State Historic Park, learning about how to make a fire with flint and steel. This is Jared Jones, signing off.